Hi, and welcome to an episode of the Coaching Life Podcast. My name is Chris Stewart, and I'm one of the hosts of the Coaching Life Podcast. And my co-host, Pat Martin, is not with me today, and he's not going to be with me for this episode. In fact, this is a surprise episode. I guess you could call it a bonus episode. As you know, Pat and I have had a busy spring, busy summer, and it's not been easy for us to get together and have a conversation. We'll often chat about some things we'd like to talk about on the podcast and maybe create an episode, but sometimes the week goes by and we're not able to get together. But I had a thought this morning as I was preparing for my day, and the thought revolved around gratitude. I'll often take some time in the morning to think about things that I'm grateful for, things that I'm thankful for. So often we'll write those down, little journal book, just to keep that in front of me if there's ever a time when I need to go back through and be reminded of just some of the simple things to be thankful for. And one of the things that I am really grateful for, and this is probably something that inspired me to write a few years ago, and then probably, in all honesty, maybe even inspired the idea for this podcast, at least the title of it, The Coaching Life. One of the things that I'm really grateful for is people in a community who I would consider to be community champions. And so this brief little episode is going to be dedicated to community champions. In particular, my podcasting partner, Pat Martin, who is one of the biggest community champions of anyone that I've ever met. And it's not something that I think he would consider himself to be. And that's why I want to dedicate a podcast to him. So Pat, if you're listening, I certainly hope you listen to the Coaching Life Podcast. This podcast episode is dedicated to people who are dedicated to the coaching life. A few years ago, I followed up a book that I wrote called Building Champions, and I had a number of things that I wanted to continue to talk about, and I probably actually should have put them in the book Building Champions, but I did not. And so it became another book, a second book called Coaching Life. And in the introduction of that book, I explained what the book was about that you're about to read, that you're holding in your hand if you indeed bought a copy of that book and you have a copy and you're reading it. And I just want to share with you what kinds of things I think about when I think about the coaching life. And so I'll just read directly from the book. This book is about the coaching life, and it is about coaching life. These are two different things, but in many ways, they're the same thing. Coaching is a way of life for many people. It is the place where they thrive. It is not just part of their identity, it is their identity. And I'll bet you can think of more than one person who, when you see them out in public, your instinct is to say, "Hey, coach." It may even take you a few seconds to think of this person's actual name, if you even know it at all. They're simply known as coach, because that's what they have been to so many people. Coaching has been such an integral part of their life that whether they are currently coaching a team or not, they will always be thought of as coach. Well, I felt like I was just beginning to learn what coaching was about in the same year that I decided to step away from coaching the high school baseball team that I'd been part of for 13 years. But here's an interesting thing. Since the day I had decided to stop coaching, I actually had more coaching opportunities open up to me. I'm not talking about job opportunities with other teams. I'm talking about opportunities to influence lives in positive ways. That's what the coaching life is truly about. It is about coaching life. It is about giving the best you have to offer in this life so that someone else will be challenged to do the same. Why do I focus so much attention on coaches and coaching? Because I believe that coaches are the most valuable people in the world. And when I say that, I'm not just referring to sports. Everyone needs a coach. Everyone needs to be a coach. Coaching is about coming along beside someone else, or in many cases, a group of people, and inspiring them to press beyond whatever their circumstances have currently brought to them in order to become who and what they are truly meant to be in life. We are made with an intrinsically fascinating paradox of purpose. That is, we are most satisfied and happy when we give of ourselves to another. During holidays like Christmas, we experience this truth on a small and sometimes superficial level, but it does illustrate the point nevertheless. It is more satisfying and energizing to give a gift than it is to receive one. I believe this is precisely why so many people love to coach. There's something life-giving about pouring out your own life for the benefit of someone else. In laying down our lives for others, we actually receive even greater pleasure and satisfaction than we could ever have obtained by other means. Giving of yourself to help another person is like a drug. It has been said that coaching provides a high greater than anything you could ever experience artificially. This is why I say that everyone should seek to be a coach. And you don't even have to be involved in sports to be a coach. Take the principles of what it means to be a coach and live them every single day of your life. And here's the best part. You don't have to be perfect at what you're coaching in order to be a coach. You just have to be committed to the process yourself. I myself am living proof of this principle. If I thought I had to be an expert in the practices and the behaviors that are discussed in this book, then I would have never even considered writing about them. Consequently, opportunities would be missed to challenge and inspire others. You see, that's the point. We make mistakes, we learn from our mistakes, and then we give that wisdom to others. So don't wait. Whatever it is you've been contemplating doing for the betterment of others, do it. That's what the coaching life is all about. The coaching life is about loving people. Coaching is about people, not games, not business projects, not organizations, or any other abstract thing. If there were no people, then there would be no coaching. Therefore, our perspective needs to be wholly focused on people. We're all coaches. Every person in this life has someone else who looks to them from time to time to help them, to lead them, to guide them. If you're reading this right now, you have someone or perhaps a group of people that you are walking along beside in life, and you have had opportunity after opportunity to influence them in positive ways. Right now, think of whom that might be. Likewise, you need a coach. Is there a person in your life that you look up to? Someone who you perceive to have things a little more together than you do, perhaps? Someone who's a little more successful than you are, perhaps? Have you ever considered asking that person to mentor you? Do you need a coach in this life? Sure you do. In fact, you probably already know who that person should be. The next step is ask. Tell them, I want to learn from you. I see things in you that I don't possess in my own life, and I want to be the best that I can be. And I believe you can help me. Can we meet for coffee? You see, that's the coaching life, and we're all part of it. We're all part of it. Let me tell you one of the reasons why I love meeting with my buddy Pat and talking about sports, just talking about stuff in general. I mean, just anything. I mean, there are a lot of reasons. You know, we're friends, and so you don't often need a reason to have a conversation with your friend. You just kind of get along, and you find that you have some things in common, and you just talk about them, right? But I'll be honest with you. I tend to choose friends carefully. I'm not just friends with everybody. There are people in this world that do not give life to others. There are people in this world that may want to come along beside you and call you friend and hang out with you, but they end up sucking the life out of you rather than giving life to you. John Gordon has a term for these kinds of people. He says they're vampires. They suck the lifeblood right out of you. We've also referred to these kinds of people as drains. And in life, you're going to be one or the other. You're going to be a faucet or you're going to be a drain. What's a faucet do when you go and turn it on? It gives water. Well, what does water do? It replenishes life. It gives you life. It's good. It's nourishing. And so when I'm looking to spend time with people and have conversations with people that are going to influence my life in some way or another, then I've decided that I'm going to invest in people who are life-giving. And that's why I really don't have a lot of friends. And that circle of people is not huge. I mean, we all have acquaintances. We all have a lot of people that we'd consider to be friends, right? But you don't sit and have deep conversations with everyone that you consider an acquaintance. I mean, you might see people along the way, maybe they're coworkers or people that you see in the community, and you wave at them, you say hi, you go to some of the same functions, some of the same sporting events, maybe your kids play together, and those are all people you consider to be friends, right? I mean, people that you would embrace on Facebook, click the like button or click the follow or whatever it is, friend, be my friend button, and you would consider those people friends, but they're not really friends. There's not really a relationship of intimacy there. And what I mean by intimacy is a relationship where you're talking with one another and you already know what that person's thinking, even as you're having a conversation. And before questions are answered, you know what their answer would be because you know that person really well. That would be somebody that you might even consider to be a best friend, a very good friend, right? Somebody that you have opened yourself up to in a deep way. You've become vulnerable with that person and they become vulnerable with you. And that's what I mean by that. I think we all need that kind of a relationship. Hopefully, if you're married, you have that kind of a relationship with your spouse. Hopefully, that's the first and foremost person that you have that level of intimacy with. But hopefully, we have others with as well. And I just want to let you guys know, this guy that I talk with on the podcast, I feel like I've got that with him. And I think that he would probably say the same about me as well, in the sense of this is a really good friend. So I just kind of wanted to get behind the mic here today and say that. Say that to him. Say it to you, those of us who listen out there. But here's the big reason why. This is the thing that I thought about when I actually decided to turn this into a podcast episode, because really just me getting on and saying, hey, I got a good friend and I just want to say thank you for him. That's not really podcast episode worthy. But here's what I think is episode worthy. And this is something that I believe everyone should aspire to be. And Pat is a prime example of a person who is this. And that is a community champion. What is a community champion? Well, when I think of people who are champions of their community, I think of, it can be somebody who's well-known, like a community leader, a public official, somebody who's run for office, a pastor or a service worker or a volunteer. It could be anybody like that, but really it could be anyone. I mean, typically, I think of people who volunteer, who love their community. And when I say love the community, it's not necessarily a patriotic thing, like I love just this abstract community, right? This town, the name of the town. But I love the people here. I love the people. I love the children. I love the parents, the moms, the dads who give of their time and invest in their kids and who want the best for people. Neighbors who go out and they really make the best of their neighborhoods. People who work hard and well to support and to start things and to build programs and to help people to be the best they can be. Who sacrifice their time, stay up late hours even after they've worked a full-time job, volunteering to put schedules together for youth league so that kids could have games to play, volunteering to research and try to find ways to give people good uniforms to wear so that they look nice when they step on the field and things like that. Listen, folks, I'm telling you right now, I don't know if you know this. Probably, most of our listening audience may not know it. I guess if you live around the area where we broadcast from or where we record from, then you probably do. But here's the reality. My friend Pat has been doing those things for years in the same community. And the reason why he does them, and I'll tell you this right now, is not because he wants the recognition. I have not gone to a ball diamond yet in the county where he lives, and I've not seen a sign with his name on it yet. I've not seen an article in a newspaper yet written about him. I've not heard speeches given or anything like that, or radio programs outside of this podcast given where he is honored and talked about. And here's why. It's not why he does it. He does it simply because he loves kids. He loves the people. He loves their parents. He loves the community, and he wants the best for them. That's what a community champion is. It could be a lot of things. There are a lot of other things. There are a lot of other people that are heroes in communities. There are a lot of reasons to be community champions. I mean, and I certainly don't want to minimize or isolate just one aspect and say, this is the only way to be a community champion. But I'm telling you right now, this is someone that I see is a champion of his community. And I just wanted to say, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that I get to sit alongside him. And over the last year and a half, it's just been online as we record, but we've obviously gotten together in person more than that. We're coaching a ball team together right now, which is kind of cool, and have these kinds of conversations. And so often in these conversations, we go back and we're telling stories and we're talking about things that I've written in one of these books, or an experience that I've had while coaching a high school team or something. And every now and then we'll talk about a story that has happened with Pat. But I just wanted to take an entire episode to say that he has done so much more in working behind the scenes to make youth leagues, youth teams, families, individuals that I know that he provides instruction to for free. He's done so much behind the scenes that people just will never know. They don't think about. You don't think about that, do you? There are so many people. I mean, you just imagine there are things that happen in life that we just take for granted. We don't think about it. I was thinking about this today. We had a water line, had a little pinhole in it, and that it was so we had to turn off our cold water to our refrigerator because the water line that ran to the refrigerator had a pinhole in it, and so every time the ice maker tried to make ice, and every time we tried to get water out of the fridge, it would cause it to leak, and so we had to actually go to the main line and turn the cold water off, and it had been that way for a couple of days, and I finally got around to fixing it. And as I was fixing that, I thought to myself, the beauty and just the wonder, I guess, of water. The wonder of the water faucet, and turning the water faucet on and getting a nice cold glass of water to drink and to have that kind of refreshment that we all need every single day, that kind of nourishment that we need every single day. We go to the water faucet, we turn it on, we get a drink, and we put the glass back down and we go about our business. We don't even think about it. We don't think about all of the ways, all the hours, all of the people, all of the time, all of the work, all of the money, all of the effort that has gone into place to get that little drink of water to my glass by turning, and all I had to do was turn on the faucet. That's all I had to do was turn on the faucet. But I don't see that plumbing that's involved, that's going out to the main line outside my house, and then what's going to the water filtration plant, and how all the people that are involved in making sure that water is clean and safe and the pH levels are just right and everything before it gets to my glass, and all the man hours and all the people who work in those offices, and those people who get down into the ground and they actually put those pipes together and they make sure that everything is working just fine, and they have the routine maintenance on there on those things as well. Not just the initial building of it, but just it's a constant process, and all that's happening. In the meantime, I just go to the sink, get a glass of water, take a drink, and don't even think about it. How many times do we go to a ballpark and we sit in the stands, we drop our kids off, we sit in the stands, and we watch them play, and they're wearing uniforms, and somebody had to organize and buy those uniforms. they've got a coach. Somebody has to organize all those coaches together. They're on a field. They're on a ball diamond. Somebody had to drag that ball diamond. Somebody had to make sure that it's ready to go. Somebody had to schedule all those games. There's a concession stand that you might go and you might buy some things, and somebody has to organize the workers in that concession stand, and somebody has to go and buy those things in that concession stand. Somebody has to make sure that we have a concession stand. There are so many things, guys. There are so many things that happen, and we take it all for granted because they do their job really well. And so this little episode is to say thank you to all of those recreational league presidents out there, to all those volunteers, those people who volunteer their time so that we can have programs in our communities that we enjoy, that we take our kids to, that they play. And we just want to honor these people today as community champions. I mean, these people are often not ever thought about. You go through an entire season and you don't often think about these people. And I just wanted to tell you that my podcasting partner is one of those people. And he's probably going to kill me for publishing this, but I don't care. He deserves it. And so, Pat, hats off to you, brother. I tip the hat to you today and to everyone out there in every town across this state, other states, people who might be listening from other parts of the country where you are already thinking about people that fit that same kind of role. There are Pats everywhere out there. and Lord have mercy on those places that have a Pat, but we have a lot of fun together and jab each other a lot. But I tell you what, every community needs a Pat. Every community needs a Pat. And what I mean by that is someone who really gets it, someone who gets what the coaching life is about. I said at the beginning, coaching is a way of life for many people. It's a place they thrive. It's not just part of their identity, it is their identity. Whether they have a group of people that are playing a game for them or not, coaching is their life. It's how they think. It's who they are. They are a coach. And so hats off to all of those people. Hats off to all of you who fit that role. Sure, for some people, coaching is about a game, and they wouldn't coach if it wasn't for a game. But for a lot of people out there, and particularly for the one that I've dedicated this episode to, coaching is a much bigger responsibility than just having a game to guide people through. And there's a perspective that separates these coaches from all others. Like I said, for some it's about a game, but for others, it's about people. It's about the people that get put in front of you every single day in your path, where you look at them and you say, okay, here's some people that, number one, maybe I can learn from, but maybe I could also give them something positive as well. And you realize that every person that comes along in your path, they are in your path so that you can provide some kind of positive impact to them. What an incredible way to look at everything you do. And listen, friends, that is, if you wonder why we picked the title we did for this podcast, The Coaching Life, it's because that is the heart of everything we talk about, impacting people in a positive way. And we just happen to discuss 95% of the time that very thing in the context of sports, particularly youth sports and those sports that we are involved in. But it's bigger. It's so much bigger. It's bigger. It's always bigger. Get that. Never forget that. Listen, I thank you so much for listening to our podcast. I thank you for those of you that have been invested in us for a long time. We've had people over the past few weeks text us, write to us, and tell us, hey, I'm starting to catch up. I was several episodes behind, but I'm catching up and I'm getting close to where I've already heard them all. You guys need to put some more content out. And so we certainly will. We'll keep having our conversations. Don't you worry. But I just want to say thank you to all of you for being part of this community that we call the Coaching Life community. And we hope that whatever it is you're involved in this week, you will give your best so that others can be theirs.